hackers swear by counter-surveillance? Why do 90% of hackers swear by counter-surveil? Why do 90% of hackers swear by counter-surveil? Let's dive in and find out. In the labyrinthine world of cyberspace, every click leaves a trace. But with counter-surveil, you become the unseen. Our podcast takes you deep into the heart of hacking, where firewalls crumble and secrets unravel. From white hat heroes to shadowy code warriors, we cover the spectrum. Join us on Iron Geek, your portal to mastering the art of stealth and strategy. Discover the tools, the tricks, and the tales that define the modern hacker. Tune in and transform from a curious novice into a digital legend. This is Counter-Surveil. Unmask the unknown.
Tune into the sound waves, secrets of the dark maze, dark codes in the nighttime, information aligned. We're free in the spotlight, chatting through the late night. Smart contracts are lying, auditing, verifying. Counter-surveil in my ear, security we engineer. Learn the truth, don't disappear. Counter-surveil, we're right here. Crypto dreams and data streams. Listen close, it's closer than it seems. Fix the flaws, see through the smog. Counter-surf will join the blog.
Hello, and welcome to the Counter-Surveil podcast. I am your host, Trez, here with Sledge, the legendary Iron Geek Adrian Crenshaw, Patrick Ryan, and Sheldon DR. This week, we got a bunch of stuff to talk about. And since we had a last-minute dropout of somebody who was going to do a demo due to some power issues, we are going to be winging a little bit of it, but hopefully we are not too off-topic for you. We do like the banter section. A lot of people give us good feedback on that. So let's start out with the Telegram founder was jailed this past week. Has anybody heard about this?
I've heard about it, but I don't know much detail.
Anybody have any insights before I just read an article about it?
I saw there was one pretty significant concern that was pressure from Israeli entities, because Telegram is very strictly like a no moderation platform. They really try not to get in the fray in those channels, and they were getting some pressure for that. So I think that's part of the color.
It's bringing up a deja vu for that conversation that we've seen over the years of should government have backdoors and things.
Yeah, only manufacturers should have backdoors and things like those who make RFID access cards.
What could possibly go wrong?
They could regulate stun, but yeah, that doesn't solve the problem. I don't know, just theorizing.
So the top story this week is the shocking detention of Telegram's founder and CEO, Pavel Durov, in France. He was apprehended at the Le Bourget airport near Paris on suspicion of failing to prevent criminal use of his popular messaging platform. French authorities are investigating allegations related to child protection, sexual abuse content, and other activities on Telegram. The detention has been extended until at least Wednesday as officials decide whether to bring charges against him. This move has sparked a lot of controversy, with Telegram questioning the grounds for the detention. The company argues that it's not the CEO's responsibility to monitor content on the platform. That's a good point. Can you imagine if Zuckerberg went to jail because of some meme that you posted on Facebook? I would like that, actually.
Well, with Telegram, could they even monitor it if they wanted to? Isn't it supposed to be
it's not end-to-end encrypted on their default chats, and their group chats I don't think even support encryption. Like Signal does for group chat. Telegram, I think you only have the option of doing encryption between two individual users. And by default, that's not even the option that's selected. You kind of have to go in and drop down a menu to get to that area. Sheldon, you're nodding. Is that correct?
I believe that's accurate, yes.
Interesting. I always thought it was end to end fully.
Oh, it's definitely not. It's definitely not end to end fully.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've had an experience on Telegram where I was having a voice call with someone once, and I have the 4 icons at the top that tells you if there's a man in the middle. When I was talking to the person, he had my voice in speaker, so I could hear the reflection, the delay of my voice playing back to him. And as I spoke to him, my voice was being manipulated in real time to say stuff I wasn't saying.
Wow.
This happened to me on Telegram. I am not making this up. So if there's an encryption, it ain't there.
I can't see who's talking here. Is that
This is
you,
Patrick. Yeah, this is Patrick. Yeah.
This
Yeah, I
is
mean, there are
Patrick.
tools that you can use in real time to do, voice changing. There have been for a long time, but there are also these integrations we're seeing. And Telegram is good for integrations. That's why a lot of threat actors use it instead of Signal. It's very easy for them to post a bunch of garbage. Have bots moderate things. Not that they really use them for moderate, mind you, more often just to spam post and cross post into other Telegram groups. But like I follow a couple of Telegram channels of some threat actors in other countries, and they also really heavily utilize the free file hosting and storage there to not only propagate breach data that they've gotten from hacking, but also even like their C2 payloads, because a lot of the time Telegram is going to be whitelisted in companies.
Mhm.
Just like the Discord CDN is also used to host malware,
It's also a useful open source intelligence gathering tool. I run a tool that allows me to monitor GPS blackouts worldwide. It's a very useful tool. It allows me to predict when conflicts are about to escalate anywhere, and I cross-reference that often with Telegram channel content. It's very useful when you collaborate those two data streams together. But I can see why Europe and France and Western Europe in particular would be a bit stingy about this, because Ukraine is going into Russia right now. NATO is probably going to have a more muscular response as a result. So there's definitely some geopolitical pressure going on here. And having those OSINT channels can be, while useful for researchers, it does affect narrative control when you're trying to do operations.
I like to use Twitter for things like that as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, Twitter used to be much better at it, to be fair. They shut down scraping, which may
that's right.
So we had to go to like Telegram to go scrape stuff instead.
Hello.
AltKey is here as
Hi.
well.
I ran Pac-Man SYU at the worst possible time, and now my audio's all messed up.
Sounds good enough to me.
Oops.
Nice to see you back here again. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
For those of you who might have missed the cast last week, AltKey explained how she was able to use IR to do some item cloning in the game that was built into this year's DEF CON badge with her flipper, which was a pretty cool talk. And I also wrote NFC in the initial description, even though it was IR. Whatever,
It happens.
Both technologies, they both share stuff short distance. It's fine. Nobody probably even noticed except me. Adrian, I'd like you to meet AltKey. Adrian is one of my heroes in this industry. He's one of the first guys who ever thought, hey, all these talks are happening. Why doesn't somebody record them? And then he became that guy.
He's kind of famous.
Well, in his own mind. No, just kidding. Adrian's great. I love Adrian. He has definitely been an inspiration to me. And I don't think I'd be where I am in my career today if he hadn't recorded a lot of those talks that I would actually listen to almost every day, sometimes even falling asleep to. And definitely
I second that.
Randomly quoted sometimes in job interviews and seemed like a badass. All thanks to that gentleman over there. So just wanted to acknowledge your contributions, Adrian, and also thank you for letting us use your channel as well.
No problem. It's not like I'm using it much anymore.
Well, hopefully we can change that.
Oh, by the way, William Ashley asks in the chat, how does arresting him do anything through the company's How does arresting him do anything through the company's runs without him still know?
It's probably more of a political statement, obviously, to try and draw attention to the fact that they'd like to censor these platforms. It's usually they're going to use things like CSAM and other despicable methods that obviously will happen on pretty much any platform that doesn't moderate, as a good excuse to be like, hey, this is why we need to moderate this, and you can't have free speech anywhere online, even if it's just between individuals.
And may I also add that I would expect them to use this as a way of trying to get a hold of back-end data that they couldn't normally get without legal intervention. This is a really good opportunity for them to ask for chat logs of certain individuals they may have been chasing for a while, even if it's not directly related to the actual investigation at hand.
Right.
Oh, we just happened across this, and now we just happen to have the data we need to actually get what we need to actually chase these guys.
So Sheldon brought up a point earlier, because I was mistaken thinking it was end to end, like fully, but it's not. So do we assume that they have not been doing this the entire time?
They have not been doing this the whole time.
Absolutely. With the expense that it would take for end-to-end group chats of the scale that I know that they have. Yeah, absolutely. They haven't been doing this. Why would they? If they got away without spending extra money, why would they spend extra money? Use Signal, use Tor.
And to additionally to William's point, there's also a legal dimension going on here called chilling effects. So when you arrest someone, it creates a public concern that other people in the same space will realize, oh, that might happen to me. And so their chance of compliance goes up to irrational requests from governments. And then one more point, people do not know this about the French. When it comes to America, we have a very cute understanding of the French, mostly because of The Simpsons. That meme just lasts forever somehow. But the French are the absolute very best, no joke, no one comes close to them when it comes to technological espionage. They have schools trained for it, and they are world class. You should look them up. The School of Economic something. Just look that up. They are world class. They have entire takedowns of each product you can think of. Every 10-cent product, they know how to take it down. Every Microsoft product, they know how to take it down. It's some of the best material you will ever find.
You think they're not buying research papers from Ben Gurion, though? I would have guessed that would be the lead, no? You think they're a step ahead?
Very much a step ahead. Very much, because a lot of when it comes to things like Unit 8200 or something like that, they're mostly SIGINT. France still has a very robust human capacity, so they can reach into places most people can't.
Also, dog. Sorry, I got distracted, but there was a dog.
Oh yeah, that's Ghost. He's adorable little guy right here. He used to belong to a friend of mine, Crypto Gal. And,
would you consider France to be an APT group? Because I haven't heard that come up. It's usually China, Russia, whatever.
Well, you know who names them. It's not the UN. It's not the Eastern countries. So I think that's your answer.
It's the quiet ones you have to worry about.
I guess so.
I mean, if I were in like a nation state, I would probably heavily invest in obfuscating the true source of any attack that I did. You know, misattribution is almost as much of a science as attribution is an art. So
I just use the attribution dice.
Those work too, and are probably more accurate than some of those attribution reports based on some of the artifacts. So, well, this has got some Chinese code in it. It's also got Russian code. It's obviously rolls the dice. Apt 69. There you go.
Metadata spoofing is an art.
In the case of Telegram, do you know exactly what it is they wanted censored?
I think it was CP.
Yeah, the articles say CSAM kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, that's usually the excuse a lot of the authorities will use when they want to take something down. Whether it exists on the platform or not, you know, it's a really good excuse to arrest somebody and keep them detained while they try and build a little bit more of a case.
There's an article out today from Haaretz, Israeli newspaper, that said that part of the reasoning that they were pressuring the French to take some action at this opportunity was, you know, soldiers in Gaza that are posting things on Telegram that they shouldn't be posting. You know, they're looking for security controls for that. So just another benefit of an unmoderated, you know, unending group of channels with people just following the content around.
They do not want people to be able to do citizen journalism. It's scary to a lot of these people in power, in my opinion.
Yep.
Of course, I could be a bit of a conspiracy theorist. Who knows?
You're in good company.
Good. So other things to talk about this week. There's been some RFID card backdoors found. Some security researchers have uncovered an alarming backdoor in millions of RFID cards used worldwide, and majority of them used in hotels. These vulnerabilities potentially affect access control systems in numerous organizations and firms. This backdoor will allow you to clone a card from having if you have like two cards from the same place with the same site code, you can clone these and make a MasterCard that can open any of the doors in that place. So not the best thing if you're like a hotel, somebody can just make key card to any room if they've got two key cards. You give them two key cards when they check in. So this discovery underscores the importance of like regularly auditing and updating security systems, which a lot of companies say they do, but don't necessarily do until something like this happens. So a lot of times we think these things are safe. Like the hotel safe is not safe. If you've ever seen one of Deviant's talks on that, not to give him any traffic, but there's not things that you might rely on and think are secure might not be out of the box. So sometimes it's best to take a little extra precaution.
Does the article go into detail about it? Like, is it going after, I don't know, in my head, I'm thinking it's taking a couple cards, mixing it up, figuring out the entropy, or figuring out how to bypass rolling codes based on a pattern or something.
Yeah, I'll pull that up and share it on the screen. I just got to make sure I don't have anything else on my screen that shouldn't be shared first. So just give me a minute or two for that.
Also from the chat, hi Hollow. Hi. Good to see you.
Okay, I got the article. I'm going to maximize this screen. I have to freaking switch computers for this. Okay, present, and then share screen, and then entire screen. And we're going to go with the screen I'm currently looking at. And so we're going to minimize, then go over to this computer, then maximize, then hit F12, which is the wrong key. I think it's F8.
F11.
11, 11, one of those keys. There we go.
Alt F4.
Oh yeah, that one I'll fall for. That was back in the IRC days. We used to tell people to do that. It was like, how do I do this? Just hold down the Alt key and hit F4. So where the fuck did the article go?
You're doing great.
Hey, look, we got 1 billion ads and no article on this page. Thank you, Security Week. This is totally what I wanted to share.
Maybe Alt back.
There we go. Thank you kindly. So, French security services firm Quarks Lab has made an eye-popping discovery. Those French in the news twice this week. Of course, they're French. Why do you think they have this ridiculous
Suffering blue?
Significant backdoor in millions of contactless cards. Manufactured by Shanghai, need we say more, Fudan Electronics Group, a leading manufacturer in China. Documented in a research paper by Quarks Lab researcher Philippe Théouen, allows the instantaneous cloning of RFID smart cards used to open office and hotel rooms around the world. According to the article, the backdoor requires just a few minutes of physical proximity to an affected card to conduct the attack. An attacker in a position to carry out a supply chain attack as well could execute instantaneously these kind of attacks, according to his white paper, which I'll open in another tab. He said he discovered the backdoor while conducting security experiments on the MyFair Classic card family that is widely deployed in public transportation and the hospitality industry. The MyFair Classic family card, launched in '94 by Philips, are widely used and subject to numerous attacks over the years. Security vulnerabilities that allow card-only attacks, attacks requiring access to a card but not the corresponding reader, are particularly concerning as they may enable attackers to clone cards or read and write content just by having physical proximity for a few minutes. Yada, 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 yada. In 2020, the variant of this card was released by them, leading to an
So
unlicensed
it's My Fair Classic.
compatible chips. They noted that various features of specific countermeasures designed to thwart all known card-only attacks has gradually gained market share. I would say it's been more than gradual after, say, the Proxmark came out and then the Flipper Zero. Pretty much every hacker is now fairly aware that RFID cards can be easily cloned.
If
And the
there's a
Flipper
POC
itself-
for this, we have the technology to do it.
Yeah, I mean the Flipper itself has been pretty good at emulating the card, so you don't even need another one to write to. The place I used to live, I actually had cloned my access card and would use my Flipper to get into my building, and ended up giving Sled the real one, which he never gave back.
I might know a guy that kind of helped people using his Flipper to get into the community pool.
Hey, the pool is closed. Didn't you get the memo?
I may or may not have been banned from my own apartment complex's pool for doing that.
So they also discovered a similar backdoor protected with another key in the previous card generation.
When they say backdoor, is that intentional?
Well, I would have to read the paper to answer that question.
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
only
yeah.
assumed-
Just a good question.
Speculation here. But,
The paper is linked in here if anybody wants to bring it up and read it on their own. This backdoor enables any entity with knowledge of it to compromise all user-defined keys on the card, even when fully diversified, simply by accessing the card. Check their infrastructure. So, look, it's always been fairly, if you have the card, you can usually clone it. Some of them are more difficult than others. Like, you have to leave the Flipper on it for like 3 minutes for some of these hotel room cards, and then you also sometimes need to also put it in front of the reader for the room if you want it to work properly and like get both of them. But generally, if you have physical access, it's and you have the right skills and tools, it's only a matter of time. But now that they have lowered the barrier of entry yet again for people who want to do bad things with access control, we have to remind people what Tool says about any lock is really just a delay mechanism. So there you go.
Locks
Also-
keep honest people honest.
When I read stuff like this, I often wonder if there is some type of replacement on the horizon, and this is acting as like sponsored content. So the idea that, hey, these cards are being hacked, looks like we're going to have to switch over to biometric locks instead.
Good point.
I mean, from a solution perspective, you're still going to see it fall down, right? Like I lived in an apartment in Miami not long ago where they switched to biometric. They stopped accepting the what is it, 125 megahertz fob. They were still using 125 megahertz on those panels as secondary access for an admin. Like, they effectively made it worse for themselves. But hey, it reads my fingerprint, so we're good.
I think there was one not long ago with a lot of the hotel doors where if you had a barrel jack connector to the door and an Arduino with the right code on it, you could open any of the doors with just plugging into the barrel jack and have it essentially do its magic.
That one was pretty neat.
That one was pretty neat. And then we also saw one not too long ago where there was, man, my memory's getting fuzzy as I'm getting older here. But it was another access control trick that really undermined security in a lot of things. I saw one instance of this happen where, like you, my property that I used to live at mandated everybody get these new RFID EL doors that were supposed to be super, super secure. And obviously, I then delved into Leslie Carhart's research into the topic from when she was forced to do the same. And without even needing to be like super adept at the underlying technology, using my Flipper, I was able to use essentially their code, the backup site code that was stored in the Yale lock, and I didn't even have to dump firmware or do anything all that complicated. It was really a matter of it supported both RFID as well as biometric and a code. And the RFID, the office had made a master key, and they left the default settings on the thing. So essentially, when you are doing a new install for these, if you read the manual, it explains that you can set like a site code, and you should set a site code, and then it also explains that you should, not leave the default settings in place for things like, the maintenance key to open any door. And I believe it was just a string of zeros or F's if memory served with the site code, and it opened my lock. So I figured go to my friend's apartment and see if it opens their lock, who also lives in the complex, and it did. So essentially, they had given me the ability to open anybody's door if I were a criminal. And they also mandated we all freaking use those stupid locks. So that's one of the places I moved out of.
Yeah, and in addition to that, you can always fall back on the classic, hey, I'm new here, my card doesn't work, can you let me in? That works all the time, and there's no log of you, it's the log of the other person.
Oh, go ahead.
You just cloned the master key.
And I live in one of those right now. My neighbor locked himself out, so I let him back into his apartment. And it took him about 2 hours before he came back, knocked on my door, and was like, wait a minute, you could just open that? And I'm like, and then just closed my door again. It was a very interesting conversation. I got a nasty email from my landlord for it, but what are they going to do?
I tried to disclose responsibly to my landlord the issues with their locks, and they that email somehow never made it to the property management company.
Funny, I've had the same issue. Weird. Do we live in the same neighborhoods?
Their counter argument: why are you trying to pick our locks?
If you're not doing anything wrong, you don't have anything to worry about. Iron Geek, what do you think about access control? You gave a talk about lockpicking not long ago at the thing we were trying to do in Vegas.
Yeah, but that was pretty much conventional locks, pin tumbler mostly. So I haven't played much along the lines of RFID locks. A little bit expensive to actually invest in.
Does anybody here think that these newer generational locks are any more secure than the old ones?
Nope.
No.
Not buying it, dude.
Well, I was doing a stream once, and someone was able to tell by the sound my remote lock was making exactly what model it was just through the internet. And I'm like, this is not helping me.
Hey, we're getting good feedback here in the comments.
Speaking of locks and all that kind of thing, physical access. Red Team Alliance has a facility out in Phoenix, or
Vegas.
Not Phoenix, but Vegas. I think they have one in both. I can't remember. But the big one is in Vegas. And they did a breakout, like a reverse escape room. So you had to break into a thing. So you had to decode a lock. They had a lock cutter there. You had to cut your own locks, deal with electronic locks, cameras, hot wire, keep a computer on, hot wire it, keep power to it, move things around. It was pretty freaking cool. And then they had this challenge of who could do use the under the door tool the fastest.
And you were the slowest if memory serves, Sledge.
Well, the first year I'm always gooting, so by the time I get there, I'm so tired.
I remember there was a line behind you, people waiting to use the under the door tool.
I was like,
ever gonna finish? You never got it. You just gave up. I was like, Sledge gave up. No way.
I was like, I'm taking up too much time. Let somebody else do it.
A lot of these newer locks are for administrative convenience of the property owners. So you have these apartments with hundreds of complexes in them, and they're using things like Yale, or they're using these type of touchpads. And I try to I want to pull the building manager aside and say, hey, look at this, and do some manipulation with the light, and you see where the fingerprints congregate on it, and you can figure out what the numbers are real quick. It's this isn't a convenience. You don't want to print keys, you don't want to lose keys. I get the convenience side of it, but this isn't any more secure.
$80 for a $5 fob if you lose it.
Yeah, exactly.
$5 at most. That's if you're buying it from the company that's already marking it up from the 30 cents they paid for it.
Yeah, 20 cents, whatever it is.
Yeah, the specific brand of MyFair that the property I used to live at used was this one called Salto Inspired Access. and their system go down one day. I swear I had nothing to do with it. I wasn't even home at the time, but their whole system went down, and nobody could get into shit around the whole place. People could still get into their individual apartments if they get into that building, but all the doors to those buildings were locked. So people were just keeping the doors propped open with like cardboard and whatever else they could find. Definitely a crazy day, and totally could have been avoided if perhaps they had backed up their database before making whatever change. Because I did inquire about it because I'm a security geek, and I was like, hey, what the hell happened? Well, why is the access control system down? And don't you guys have any like measures for this? Another time my fob just stopped working, but it would work on some doors and not others. And it was interesting seeing that some of these battery doors actually have the credentials read off of the thing to verify instead of the ones that are direct connected, and the whole way that they're interconnected and how they play off each other. Because those battery ones don't actually talk to the rest of the system. And so that might leave those open to certain kind of attacks. You know,
Did those battery ones have a mechanical way
off.
in case the battery died?
Nah.
Like a keyway or something in case the battery dies?
I mean, it's called a hammer. You knock the door down. I mean,
you can use percussive maintenance on anything.
So you don't have to bump it. It doesn't have to just be violence, you know.
but
There's a
pilots
certain-
is fun.
It's therapeutic.
I got kicked out of a certain arcade in Portland after realizing that they were doing stored value on their cards that you would use to play the video games, essentially. And they hadn't upgraded to NFC or anything so cool. They were still using Magstripe. And I happen to have a Magstripe reader and writer, which are fairly cheap nowadays. It's not like in the beginning when, they cost a bit of money. And
I had to make my own in college.
Same.
First thing I had tried was I saw like a number. I thought maybe that number corresponded to a database that they had. So I tried an increment attack, and that didn't work. And then I realized the last couple of values on that card seemed to correspond to the amount of money on the card. So I just tried changing those and then ended up with a card that had 9999999 credits on it. And I was playing video games all day until somebody came by and asked how come I hadn't had to re-up my card. And I didn't disclose what I had done, but they were very suspicious, seeing like mostly empty place. One guy in there just playing games all day, and his card not going to put any more money in anything. So they asked me for my card, and I refused to give it to them, and then they trespassed me. I'm not going to hand over evidence. I'm not retarded.
I might know a guy that may or may not have figured something out about that with the Wendy's gift cards that said it was your birthday. He may or may not have said it was his birthday every day.
I did something similar with Checkers. They used to just have a picture that had like an animation going that you could use to get a free like burger when you went there. So I just took a video recording of that, and I would play it every time I went there and just showed them the picture with the video. The only authentication was that there was animation happening. So I like the free burger. Same thing with the fries for Arby's. When I joined their club, they sent me a code to use the next time I checked out to get free fries. And every time I went to Arby's after that, I got free fries. And 7 Now was a good one. When the 7 Now app first came out, if you bought $5 worth of items, you could get $15 worth of shit in the store for free. Well, if you just spent $5 when you signed up. And I just kept signing up with my same email, but the trick to do an alias with Gmail every day. So 711 Frank.Trezza plus 711 and they paid for my milk and household items for about a year or two until they changed and turned that off, which was fun.
Don't self-incriminate here. That was Bob and Ellis. That wasn't you.
Yes, I mean, obviously I'm using what's it called, allegory to demonstrate a point.
There you go. Perfect.
You're pitching a script for a Hollywood movie.
This is
Hollywood movie about 7-Eleven.
Obviously, we just use it first person for storytelling reasons.
Yeah, it's Clerks 3.
So there's like, you look at these coupon codes and things. There's some interesting shit to find out if you ever get a manufacturer's coupon code and you scan that QR code and increment it as well, for getting like almost free shit. Like when they send you something, if you write them a nice letter like, hey, I really enjoyed your product, can you please send me more? Like give me some free shit or just complain. They send you a coupon, manufacturer's coupon. Go to any location that sells that shit, and then you go there with that coupon and generally can get a thing for free. But they'll also usually just scan it and then not ask for the coupon or accept the photocopy. And some of those are just photocopyable as well. So free shit ideas. I digress. I don't know how I got off onto this tangent here. I do that sometimes. Alt key.
Mm-hmm.
What made you think of screwing around with not RFID, IR on the badge when you were at DEF CON?
Well, first of all, I was several drinks in because it was DEF
That's
CON.
how every good story starts.
And I don't know. I was messing around with it, and this was before they had the patch. So this was before save states actually worked on the badge. And I got really tired of waiting in line, playing the game, getting like 2 or 3 items, and then going, what do you mean it reset on me? I left it like the way it was before. Oh my god. What do you mean it didn't save? And then because save states didn't work, I saved the only way I could, which was get data off the device and onto something a little more trustworthy. IR was a way to do it, simply because I hadn't seen anyone else mess with the IR. I knew that the Game Boy Color ROM did have IR functionality, and I'm like, wonder what would happen if that's how it sends. Okay. And then it kind of became, I tried it, tested my badge. Wait, why did this mess up my badge? I wonder if I can use it to mess with other people.
Going around crashing badges at DEF CON.
Mm-hmm. And then I went around crashing badges at DEF CON, but first I had to social engineer the person enough to actually get into that badge menu.
You couldn't get mine.
Are there any badges that maybe acted differently than the others when you were doing this?
Sledges didn't crash. It actually received the item. It actually worked. But some badges were a little more interesting than others, especially when I started importing invalid items. I would go into the signal and edit the signal and just make it something stupid, long, and ridiculous. But I stopped doing that after one of my friends volunteered to let me test it on them, and their badge never turned back on.
Sounds like you might have done a buffer overflow or something similar.
I may have. I mentioned in the last talk that is a possibility, and that's why I brought up that possibility does exist.
Tell them to go to registration
a bunch of A characters at the thing, and then find the bad characters and run through the manuscript. What makes that happen? DEF CON badge RCE.
I didn't have the tools to make that possible at the time, but it definitely was a consideration. I was also in the middle of a CTF. I also had a Chromebook.
Which CTF did you do?
I did the RF CTF.
Why Chromebook?
Because no one told me it was going to be the RF CTF when I told my friends I'd help them.
Okay.
So I show up looking like a fool with my single core 10-year-old Chromebook with a total of 25 gig eMMC. 25 gigs, dude! 25 whole gigs of storage. 2 gigs of RAM. It's just
people
burning fast.
The Chromebook's capabilities, because once you learn how to use that kind of Docker thing that they actually call a VM, even though it's not, and you can forward ports and you can get any kind of Linux running on there, you can pull.
They can be useful, but the hardware is just.
Well, with my case, I brought it because of battery life. This Chromebook is absolute garbage, and I knew it. I got it for $20 from a thrift shop cash, but I bought it because it has 18 hours of battery life while watching YouTube, strangely enough. Like, it is surprisingly good. I was able to use the Chromebox kit to root it and put Debian on it, and once Debian was on it, it was surprisingly powerful. Like, the Chromebooks, they run Core Boot natively. They're surprisingly good, especially if all you need is a burner to remote into other systems, which I was using that to WireGuard into my home network. I didn't need more than a gig of RAM. And I'm like, okay, so the CTF, they're going to have VMs. Like, what am I doing? We're not all going to be on one machine. I'm going to be remoting into something. And that's when my lovely buddies that I'm not salty at all decided to do the RF CTF. So I had all my RF equipment at home and actually needed a more powerful machine. Sadly, But my plan would have actually been solid if it wasn't for that. Meh.
All a real hacker needs is some SSH. You know, you fucking around and you got your shit
The
set up
SSH
somewhere else.
didn't
You don't
even
need
work.
a powerful machine locally.
You can do
got
some cool
access.
stuff.
Mhm.
SSH is pretty freaking powerful.
Like, I made it work, but I wasted a lot of time making it work that I could have just used machine better tailored to RF4. There's a lot of questions I couldn't do because all my equipment was at home. Because I'm like, oh, do I really want to risk the glove up situation with the TSA by bringing all of the stuff I don't need, especially knowing that the hotel rooms are getting inspected? So I have to risk them and my hotel? Or do I just want to travel light?
The irony of this conversation about laptops is it just came in the mail. My new work
Hey!
laptop, 64 gigs of RAM, freaking, it's a $4,500 laptop.
Nice.
Treza, I heard a little bit of this.
Go ahead.
I heard a little bit of disdain for Docker. Can you elaborate?
Docker networking is a pain in the ass.
It is a pain in the ass. I agree.
Okay, yeah. Valid.
There is one trick I've used with Docker that I've never seen anybody do, and I really like it. So you get a machine with a decent amount of gigs on it, 32 gigs of RAM, whatever. And what you do is you get a very thin build, for whatever your OS is, very thin Alpine, and you get Apache Bench, and you get Tor socks. And what you have is you will have the ability to spin up a unique IP address on Tor for 2 gigs of RAM. And so you just spam all your daemons, you get multiple instances of Docker running, and you can have 50 IPs on a single machine. And it's running AB on it, so you can actually DDoS from one machine if you wanted to, using Apache Bench and Tor.
Not that we would ever do that.
Definitely no one in this chat would ever do that.
You did read the disclaimer at the beginning. Funny enough, I did something similar, Patrick, but it was with Molvad VPN, which at the time let me do, I think, 6 devices per account, and it was $5 a month per account. So I had bought a few with Bitcoin at the time, which I know traceable, whatever. And I pretty much had, like, I think 30 or 40 of them running in. It wasn't Docker, mind you, but it was similar. It was a container. We're not going to talk about the technology because I'm embarrassed for using it. But I had multiple essential IPs I could route through. And my trick to kind of make it easier to route through them was screwing around with DHCP and having a freaking...
What option flag?
Configure it, yeah. Really convoluted setup, but it allowed me to essentially switch IPs with every new device that got on the network. Would essentially get a new outbound IP through there. And then I was trying to do some NAT bullshit to make that work with the whole IP tables, TACJ drop thing. And
yeah, you know what? That gives me an idea.
But it worked really well for like the amount of time I had it up when I was playing with it. Where essentially every device that would hop on my network would get its own external IP address. Couldn't do any port forwarding or anything, but didn't really need to.
That's not a bad idea. You can take what I was talking about with a new IP through Tor on each Docker instance, have one HTTP proxy, and every request just randomly routes to some totally different Tor IP address for every request. That could be quite useful.
That'd be hella good for scraping, particularly Tor scraping.
Very good.
One of the things I noticed with trying to scrape regular sites with Tor is like if they're on Cloudflare, like they will not freaking hit that site and get it usually. And a couple other ones just difficult to access. But if you're using a VPN, you experience the same thing with some sites as well.
True.
Residential proxies are really where it's at. If you can get access to some of those through like BH proxies or something. Weirdly enough, I was doing some fiber work before I left Vegas, and somebody paid me for a gig where I went to an Airbnb, and in the closet they had like 50 cellular modems all connected by USB to this device, and they needed somebody to set it up so that it had a dynamic DNS so that they could actually access the damn thing, because it's IP from it was actually like access through the regular ISP that was hardwired, like cable modems IP, but that changed on them. So they need somebody to go over there and fix it. And that was a gig I got a couple $100 for doing. But seeing the networking closet in that Airbnb was kind of like, what the hell? Because it was not like neat cable management of any kind or anything. It was literally like some dude just tossed all the shit in the closet, and at some point it must have fallen down, and then like got picked up by the maid and like wires tangled, and oh, it was nuts. Surprised it worked at all. But apparently they were using that for an AI scraping project, and that's how they got their IP addresses for it, so that they didn't burn through them too quickly.
That would have been Christmas morning for me. I would have been like, all right, let's shell it, guys. Let's go.
Somebody might have done that in a different situation if they weren't me and talking about it on a podcast, but certainly not something somebody would admit to on a podcast if they're not an idiot. I digress. They also saw my whole thing about being a hacker. Like it's in the freaking profile there. Like most of my services are related to pen testing, but they chose me anyway. So I haven't accessed anything from that since the job, and I have no inclination to do so. But if they had hired somebody less ethical, that somebody would have probably gotten some very easily reusable IP addresses. Iron Geek, my buddy. I like your LED setup on the ceiling there, man.
Oh yeah, I got a show going on. I got little laser shows in a can, and I got I got all sorts of things set up on a little rack over here just to keep me entertained.
I wonder if this would still work. Alexa, play Five Finger Death Punch, Jekyll and Hyde.
Thank God I'm muted or on a headset.
Joke's on you. It's Google Home.
Oh, yeah, I used to have Alexa hooked up to that. I did that to him once. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, Alexa's not what I have so much. I have one Alexa device down here, but I have a bunch of Google Home stuff. So if you
Google, play Five Finger Death Punch. Oh, nobody? Oh, it's almost like...
Don't you have to say, okay, Google?
Five Finger Death Punch.
There it goes!
That doesn't count. I told myself.
That's pretty funny.
Pikachu hurt himself in his confusion.
You're not supposed to local host the payload.
Oh, it's happened far too many times too. I ever tell you about one of my first pen tests when I thought I was like way more badass than I was, and I went to go do some freaking ARP spoofing, but set the gateway to my home network's gateway instead of and another traffic to get out to the internet, and we just used that as a finding after they had to reboot all the switches. But yeah, somebody could do this kind of attack where none of your traffic can route to the internet. It's totally what we meant to do, and not I fucked up the gateway when I was trying to configure my tools there. So
I think we've all been there. We've all done something horribly regrettable during a pen test at least once.
Well, but in that
a subnet that's specifically for printers at a corporation and watch thousands of pages get printed out.
I was going to say that. You know that box at Nessus that you can uncheck that says scan printers? Don't do that. We were doing a physical, like on-site pen test, and this old lady comes up to you with a freaking box of pages, and she's like, "Is this you?" And I was like, "No, I don't think so." And then she comes back a little later with another box, and I start looking at the text, and it's just random garbage that Nessus was throwing at the printer port 9001, 9002. And I was like, "Oh shit, my bad. I'll turn that off real quick."
You guys remember when some fan of PewDiePie spammed all the printers on the internet that were open with like "Save PewDiePie" when he was at risk of not being number one on YouTube anymore?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't remember PewDiePie doing something like that. I remember Weave doing something like that.
No, Weave's bullshit was the increment thing, I believe, with was it? Shit, it's been a while.
TNT and Apple products of some kind, I think.
I will admit that I did associate with Andrew for a little bit before I really knew who he was, and you know what? There was free pizza involved, and no regrets. But certainly wouldn't associate with them now. Oh boy! No, he did some good stuff back in the day. I really liked what homeless hacker did, Six or Adrian Lamo, with the reverse proxies that corporations had misconfigured to use them to get into their network instead of out from their network. That was some interesting shit back in the day. And then somebody got in trouble. It might have been Weave or somebody else for incrementing. Essentially, it was like an IDOR, but if you had pulled up your account information, like AT&T or Verizon, one of them, and you were like authenticated, even the address bar up there for like account ID equals, and he just implemented it and started like capturing screenshots of that, and it would keep going to everybody else's account.
Your mic is dead.
Yeah, a little
I was
fuzzy.
trying to be subtle, dude, but your mic sounded like it was filtered through the back end of that reverse proxy.
Say that last sentence again.
Can you hear me now? Is this any better?
It sounded like
No.
you got too far away from a mic.
Or you have two microphones running at the same time.
Or
Yeah.
I'll work on my audio. You guys talk for a little bit.
stalling.
I can absolutely stall with r/the most delusional job description I've seen in a while. If anyone would like to see Burb Suite Pro.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. 1 second. Let me get it up on my
Verb as B-U-R-B.
Yes, Burb. They wanted experience in Burb Suite. 1 second. Let me pull that up for you.
Give me
because,
5 minutes. I'll whip out a certification for that.
Oh,
They
even
also.
better. We could hex edit Burp Suite and make it say Burb Suite and then say that we wrote it. And then
What they
say-
don't
Exactly.
realize is Burb Suite is way, way too high of a clearance for me. You see, that's how they control the government drones, also known as Burbs. That's how you order them to go on a line to recharge, and I'm not allowed to touch that kind of software.
Hey, burbs aren't real anyways, so.
Exactly. Let me find that real quick. It is in here. Looking. There it is. Also got to get some slightly higher clearance stuff off my screen because y'all do not want to know about my drama.
Sure we do.
You're not going to share that Fortinet 0 day, are you?
It's not Fortinet, but how did you guess 0 day? Crap. Okay, y'all know me too well. Let's stop this. All right.
The day ends in Y. There's going to be a 0 day.
This is technically an expired bleed, but I found this because, as you know, I am attempting currently to obtain a job. I am currently in said job market, so I'm currently
Hire her.
Please,
Hire that
like,
lady.
save me from this. No, but I'm
Give me
currently.
your LinkedIn, or so I can put it up on the screen and people can see it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll send that over as soon as I stop sharing my screen. But they want. Let's see here, Burb Suite Pro.
Check mark.
Mandiant. You have to know the tool Mandiant.
I know that Mandiant. It greps for Chinese characters and network traffic.
Oh yeah, don't forget API and SOAP UI. Oh,
HashiCorp
CrowdStrike's not on
vowel.
there? Where's
VashiCorp
CrowdStrike?
brain.
Oh man! It's like somebody transcribed this over the phone to a person with missing fingers.
It's not just not proofread. It had to be done so fast that you couldn't consider if the words were English. It seems like there should be a T at the end of this. No, hashi vowel. We need hashi vowel. We need that kind of experience.
We need Smart Bear, totally. Smart Bear Ready, which is a tool. Totally a tool, just like Mandiant is a tool.
That's
This
not
was
very nice.
I know, right? Check.
Check mark. I like the
Generic.
Flex track spelled correctly with the C instead of a K somehow.
Yeah.
Spelling HashiCorp. HashiCorp Vault. That's pretty good. Burb Suite.
Burb Suite. Most importantly, Burb Suite. Can't forget the burbs. Can't forget the burbs. Also, my favorite part. They definitely need to hire someone with this skill. My favorite part of this entire thing. Please hire
Emphasis
someone
on
with this
clearly.
skill, guys.
Yeah.
Like,
That should be
please.
the first bullet point.
Absolutely.
I like to
Oh my
put
God.
GAC instead of in front of OSCP. I would put OSCP first myself.
So would like everyone else on the planet, honestly.
I wouldn't even have that last one on there despite having it myself.
Yeah,
That would make it a disqualifier.
yeah, as I say, unless it's the CEH practical, I don't really see where this could be put in the same line as this. Like, these two next to each other was kind of the first red flag reading through here.
That is odd. There's a big difference between those two.
Yeah. About the only thing that's not a difference is the price tag. They're both too expensive for me.
Fire the intern.
You know, if you like Burb, we can talk later about Burb. You know,
And then
I'm
CEH
always
is
a
the
good
greatest
Burb.
cert to get that teaches you all about Burb.
Mm-hmm. It's the only way to learn to control the bird suite, which is required for certain clearance levels to control the drones. I mean, birds.
You certainly want to look for a Burb loader on GitHub.
Yep.
You know,
And just so everyone knows, IPOAC is also how Burb Suite Pro communicates with the burbs.
I wonder if there's a crack for Burb Pro.
It's totally a real protocol, by the way, like 100%.
talking
IPOAC
about-
was not a joke.
You're talking about
no.
that one with the pigeons or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how Burb Suite Pro communicates with the burbs to tell them it's time to go recharge, is they use IPOAC.
Hey, Friends of Sophia has written, check out this crew. Sup, champs.
Mhm.
I went to the
What
champs
up?
convention. They had lots of free samples, and I was not walking straight for a few days.
You have to
That's
have
right.
previous experience for the Burb Suite. But yeah,
Assuming that's a red team operator role, that
mhm.
that list of requirements isn't very stringent. That seems pretty lackluster.
Pretty basic. You know, 120 to 150. That's like 20 more than a guy I know who's like really talented is making it right now. That's really kind of
Mhm.
makes me sad a little
So-
bit.
I actually applied for this role, and they made me pass the Indeed a SQL challenge. Had nothing to do with SQL injection. Not a thing. It was SQL syntax.
Have you guys been encountering fake jobs that are actually malware injections?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Found a
yeah,
few of
a little
those in my
bit.
search too.
Got those.
It's even better when you email them back and you're like, I wouldn't recommend using this port. 4444 is really commonly used for malware. If you want to be sneaky, I would recommend incrementing that a bit.
I had
And
one
then you
guy
get
who was,
hired just to improve their service and scam other people.
I mean,
had
at this
one-
point, I gotta pay rent.
yeah,
kidding,
true.
kidding.
I had one guy who was offering $200 an hour for some really basic web services, giant red flag there. And he offered the project, and the entire suite was based on a stack that completely was like custom tailored to my particular resume, all my knowledge sets. And I'm looking through the code, and I don't run open source on my stuff. I go to Google Cloud Console. You run it, you eat it, whatever. It's not my problem. So I run the code, and it doesn't move. And I start analyzing the code, and I see an error file. It's a JS project. JS is like 42 kilobytes minimized. I'm like, this is absurd. Like, that's a bad signature. I go through it. I look through all the code. I get the IP address. What it's doing, it's scraping for like my crypto keys. It's scraping for everything under the sun. Credentials, logins, passwords, the usual, and it's shipping it over to an IP address that's used in Eastern Europe. And I research all this stuff, and I find the guy who did it, and I proceed to get all of his information. I say, hey, you're probably coming at me from a compromised account, and they're using the service was a bulletproof server, so they don't respect abuse requests at all. So this was like a highly targeted operation. Like, this was incredibly well done, and you could probably put it all together with like AI these days. You just like do an entire like read a resume and then generate a targeted attack vector on that person just from that alone. You could probably do that.
It's got to make it feel special if you're actually targeted.
That wasn't shortly after you and I started working together on that project.
It was after. It was after. Yeah.
Okay,
It was after.
good.
Yeah. But yeah, the
I
targeting.
did ask somebody to look into you, and I'm wondering if that's how they decided to bet you.
Yeah, probably. But the targeting used to make you feel special until you know that AI can do it in a click, and it's just, this isn't special anymore. This person didn't sit and spend time on my psychological profile. What is this? I'm being cheated.
It takes the fun out of it.
Oh man. Anybody ever pop like online Python interpreters? That's always fun.
I did a couple when I was doing threat hunting and stuff, and the coolest thing I've ever seen though was on Twitter. Some guy was scraping the internet and posted his results online, and one of them happened to be from some dude or some guy had a server. So I was just clicking on links in a lab, seeing what's going on, and I found a phishing site for one of our clients. And the dude had admin as the password, so I logged into his server, downloaded everything, and then we got him shut down.
So, have any of y'all ever taken over a phishing site? Because
That's
I
what I
have, and it's
That's
some
what
of
I
the
was
most
just
fun.
talking about.
Oh, I'm
Yes.
talking about defacing it. Like, actually
Wow,
let
I
the guy
didn't deface
continue the campaign, knowing that this has been sent out, but just defacing the crap out of it.
In hindsight, I should have. Yes, I had access and everything.
Typically, in my old days, what I would do is if someone was running phishing, I would use Apache Bench and I would hit it like 10,000 times per second until I just blew out his hard drive. He just couldn't
There
store
you
anything else. So there you go. Your hard drive's out. You can't do any more phishing.
Side tangent. Have you guys heard of or played with Evil Gen X?
So yeah, that's a pretty good way for phishing if you want to essentially proxy people back to where they'd actually log in and steal their session cookies.
Yeah, it's a way to get past two-factor and steal that.
So I just popped this online Python interpreter as we were talking. I told it to spawn TTY and it PTY rather, like a brain fart right there.
Oh, you mean like Python M server, blah blah blah, just on the internet?
Yeah, this freaking little online Python interpreter where somebody puts Python up in a web interface, and I did the spawn PTY spawn. So, and then I got a freaking bash shell right here. And
Oh, I see what you mean.
Oh my god.
What the hell?
Hopefully it's
That's your first
hopefully it's
number one. There's
sandboxed.
second number two, and bash. There we go.
It's got to be sandboxed. They can't.
It's
be
a
that
honeypot.
It's definitely running in like a Docker container with like a time limit or something.
Yeah.
Because if you like go up a directory and you look what's in there, you go like go to the
Yeah.
next directory, and
That looks
there's
like
no tab
GIDs.
completion, so that's a bit of a bitch. It just goes to the next freaking window you have up or closes it, but still interesting.
Type something ridiculous in there. It's probably going to be on a DEF CON talk.
Try apt-get.
Yeah.
You really want me to try apt-get on there?
Let's see what you can do, right? Already there.
Okay. Let's go back.
At least apt-get list or whatever the package manager is for that OS.
Also, hey Robert, hey Lambda, glad you could join me, and the rest of us too. Hack the planet! Okay.
All right, so we're going to run this stupid code. Enter one number, enter second number, and we're in bash. Apt get update.
Status. Command not found. Okay, yeah. App's out. Yeah.
Wait, you said it's a Docker though.
Yum.
DNF.
Pac-Man. DNF.
DNF. You
Does
name
curl work?
REPL deploy. Don't even know what the hell that is. Haven't ever heard of REPL deploy?
Debian.
It is Debian based. So if it's Debian and there's no apt or apt get, what do you do?
Curl.
Curl.
W
Curled
get.
him something
I
real
was gonna say get a curl.
interesting.
They might not even have curl. It might be just wget. Yeah.
It's got an IP address.
Seems to have basic POSIX support. Interesting.
It is. And it's got an internal IP too on /32. Wonder if you can ping other things on that subnet.
You're probably logged into a freaking TV or something.
Yeah, so one thing I've noticed, there's one really cool service called StackBlizz. It's an IDE, but like social IDE. So it's like it's VS Code in the browser, and it integrates with GitHub, and it's a really cool way to like fix bugs on projects. What they did is they wrote a POSIX shell in WebAssembly, and it runs right there in the browser. So it has support for all the commands you were doing. Is that even like sending commands back to a virtual terminal, or is that like a POSIX running in browser?
Sounds local. I don't know.
Not sure. It's a good question. Can't answer it based on the info I got.
Yeah.
You have to send a
It's
link.
probably
I'm
Dale,
curious.
whatever it is. It's probably running in like a Docker container on some stupid nonsense. You know what's fun? Do you ever pay for Vivek's stuff? I don't really like Vivek, mind you. Somebody I know actually took his badge at Black Hat a few years ago, and they got there before him with a fake ID and took his badge and walked away. But
I did
Vivek,
some of his boot camps way back in the day.
a friend of mine kind of told me the story about that, not really a friend anymore, that when Vivek first started with SecurityTube, that he would essentially steal people's videos and just dub over them and always start with hello all. And then you look at every time it would be like different user at different machine ID. And it was whoever's he stole the shit from that day.
And then you'd hear all the cars and shit in the background.
And what really turned me off about the dude was a friend of mine told me also that there was a really talented guy who used to put out a lot of security related videos for free on YouTube. And Vivek stole a bunch of his content, put it on SecurityTube. And then, when he asked for him to take it down, told him, like, what are you going to do? Sue me? You're not my country, stuff like that. And was really rude to him. And the guy ended up quitting InfoSec and working at a Walmart. So it bothers me when that kind of shit happens. But at the same time, he threw up a paid training that you can go and access where it will spawn virtual machines in an environment for you. And you access those through, in the website itself, it was Guacamole, which is like VNC tied to shit. And a lot of those machines that will spawn up, it's meant to do that one exercise, but it'll stay up as long as you keep it up. So started exploring that a little bit, and let's just say it's not very secure for somebody running a pen test class to be putting live machines embedded into web pages for pen testers to practice on that can talk to the internet, because that could be somebody's entire C2 framework if they really wanted it to be.
Did it have timeouts or anything? Like, can you just leave it up indefinitely?
So I believe the web page itself would control the timeout, but it was a guacamole window. So what you could do is spawn tmux and then netcat it to another machine. And then when that web page would time out, you'd still have a shell on the box. Something similar I noted with the really cool and very cheap training that they offer for the Cyber Plumber's Handbook, which is designed to teach you SSH tunneling. That a lot of those machines have complete access to the internet in terms of accessing other machines, and all tie back to that guy if somebody were to be nefarious and try to do something and maybe make it look like some misattribution. Not that I would do such a thing, but
why do our training labs keep getting blacklisted? I don't understand.
Weird. It's coming from a Walmart IP.
Clouds are leaky.
Why is it on OTX? I digress. Oh wait, we got another person. It is Lambda Calculus with the Spock icon. I gotta love the Spock icon. Can't stick for the whole thing right now, but wanted to stop in and say hello and have the play.
Get some. Don't get
They're
caught.
crashing our data.
Has anybody noticed any efforts for LLM security?
Other than trying to jail prompt, just like really elementary prompt engineering shit that really doesn't do what it's supposed to. I haven't seen any effective ways that they've been able to really prevent the jailbreaking of the LLMs.
Right.
We had some fun with that on the podcast a few weeks ago.
Oh yeah, you had linked us to that site where you could practice jailbreaking LLM Sledge if memory serves, and we were playing with it for a little bit live on the cast before we moved on because we didn't want to bore everybody who was watching.
Right.
But it was cool, man. And then we were also playing with Perplexity. We had to code a vulnerable Windows service. Then we had that service run, and then we had to code a exploit for that Windows service that was vulnerable, that it spun up. And then
we compiled it, and it worked.
We did get a shell on it, even though it was localhost to localhost. But I imagine if I had spun up a VM with a separate IP, it still would have worked based on the fact that it was just a bunch of A's. And then I don't think there were any bad cars or anything that needed to be avoided. So it would just execute whatever was next. So,
Right.
But regarding the LLM thing, the CTF we're talking about, it's called, if you Google Gandalf AI, CTF, something like that. It'll come up.
I thought you were going
It's
to
a
say
lot of fun.
Gandalf.
Highly recommend.
Oh, like somebody's looking up right now. I heard the keyboard. I have that NSA tool to reverse the keyboards based on the typing that I hear. Yeah. The ant catalog. A friend of
I can
mine,
tell the
first
click
engineer.
sounds.
Clickety clickety.
Clickety clickety.
Those side channel attacks are pretty impressive. Some of them used to be like they could just read off CRT and like you could maybe see what somebody's CRT just from the interference. But
Man.
now that one's for like HDMI and really creepy shit, man. Is like,
Dude, I've got an electrical engineer background and ham radio, stuff like that. When I first started getting into cybersecurity, the most interesting book I've ever seen was Silence on the Wire. And it was all of those side channel attacks. Like, I'm reading it like, holy crap, I could probably actually pull this off.
yeah. Patrick, you know anything about side channel attacks that you're allowed to share?
I have not jumped in that space in a long time, so I'm not kept abreast of what's been developed. What's the newest innovations in that domain?
Most recent ones I heard of some of the Spectre-based CPU attacks that can be executed like near the computer, still require like physical, like close proximity. Some cool ones Red Balloon did with bit banging GPIO ports that you can't see on printers through regular print spooling to exfiltrate data through walls was kind of neat.
There was that one, though, that just came out where you can use electromagnetic waves looking at an HDMI cable, running that through AI, and it can see everything you're doing.
Yep, that is really cool shit. Another neat one was bit banging a cheap either ESP or Arduino device to get it to transmit chirp so that you could interact with LoRa devices despite it not having a LoRa radio on the thing. Because, you know, LoRa is pretty versatile and it was able, from memory, if my memory is accurate here, to actually communicate with other devices like it and also regular LoRa devices. Not that you could put Meshtastic on it, mind you, but it was still neat to be able to get a device that doesn't have that radio to do it just through bit banging. But I believe it was transmit only, not receive. Although you could probably use an SDR for the receive and maybe make a cheaper LoRa device or find something like that. I think it's going to be really cool when we get the price of these Meshtastic devices super cheap that we can just afford to drop them everywhere. Because then we can just have these nice little radio networks that we can spin up everywhere that are working on the ISM band, and you have encrypted comms going through them and can do all sorts of shit like ATAC. ATAC's kind of cool if you want to plot where somebody is on a map and share that with other people on the network.
I didn't look into it, but I saw a headline this morning about a 0 day for Meshtastic.
You got to send me that shit. Go through your
Yeah, I'm going to have to find it again. It seemed pretty interesting.
Hopefully it's for the Android app and not for the code on the devices, because I have a few of those devices in places that are going to be hard to access again.
Yeah. You need to send me that, by the way.
I need to send it to you? You're the one who found the article.
No, I mean, you were going to send me a Meshtastic device.
I am still going to send you a Meshtastic device, but now it's going to be
reminding you.
One.
So that everybody can see.
Yeah, so Robert Rittenhouse mentioned the ATAC sounds cool as hell. It is cool as hell. And it also supports some cool features that are not built into the default Meshtastic when you're using it and have it configured properly with the Meshtastic app, where you can actually share like little files, usually like a JPEG or something that's not too big, because obviously it's slower than a 56K modem. And you remember how long it took to download porn on a 56K modem. So, you know, use that responsibly. Also, there was an interesting, I would call it denial of service for Meshtastic, where if you had a lot of Meshtastic radios in close proximity and then enabled their feature that lets you bridge networks together over whatever the hell protocol that is, I can't remember right now. It's one of those old messaging protocols, forgetting. But long
ATAC.
story short, what?
I was gonna say ATAC kind of reminds me of packet radio, where you could try to like send a JPEG file, and your computer would digest it through the modem, but it would take a freaking hour.
Too long. I think maybe he thinks that my thing was up there. POCSAG. Oh, I got to tell you guys a story about POCSAG because this is fun. Senior project at college about 2017. I was playing with RTL SDRs at the time. I needed to come up very quickly with a project for what we call the capstone. And we had to work in a group, and I hate working in a group. But I had been capturing a bunch of data from the local hospitals that were all transmitting in both POCSAG and Flex. And all sorts of information was going across that wire. So we had a good data set to go through. So the capstone project was to run all of that through an IDS and PCREDS. And PCREDS is good for grepping for things like social security numbers in a PCAP file. Whereas the other stuff was looking for specific patterns. And we found a whole bunch of Medicare, Medicaid IDs that were broadcast over POCSAG. We found admissions data as far as when people were admitted, what condition they had, what insurance they had, phone numbers for doctors that were supposed to be private. All sorts of PII was in that data set. And we pronounced it is not the right word. We essentially presented this in front of the professor live, and people in the classroom were asking us to run different things through the search interface. And one of the guys in the classroom was like, hey, I was in that hospital like a month ago. Can you put my name in there? So we put his name in there in front of the whole class live, which probably wasn't the smartest idea, because then his Medicaid, and I don't know why a college person would have Medicaid, but he did, ID came up, as well as the last four of his social and the fact that his bill had not been paid and they were trying to contact him, which was all communicated by these pagers to different people in different departments.
Yeah.
And all his information was up on the screen during that presentation. After which the professor asked for me to hand over the copies of our data set and that he would handle it from there. We all got an A. And I think we ended up contacting the hospital to do a responsible disclosure and dealing with a lot of headaches as a result. And I think he might also be the CISO at that hospital now.
Yeah, I've definitely caught a couple outfits that are scanning web SDR for that exact data. So there are people who are parking web SDR nodes close to hospitals, specifically in Silicon Valley. And it's transcribing them to text in real time and posting them through bots. And if you're in the right places, you can read that stream in real time. And it's all the medical data of all kinds of people. It's pretty frightening stuff.
Lovely.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff definitely should not be going on the wire, especially obfuscated. It's not even encrypted.
Yeah, it's not even encrypted. It's horrible.
Yeah, Multimon NG was the tool I used at the time, and I was just dumping everything into text files, and then we tossed it into, I think, an elastic backend database where you could just search for stuff. And then we implemented some other stuff on top of that for the pattern matching and whatnot. But for such a simple project that a couple of college kids could do, based on data that was just captured from, a $15 like radio you can attach to your computer with very little like Linux knowledge and not even knowing how to be a ham or any of that interesting stuff. It was pretty impressive what we were able to capture, and the repercussions of it, I guess, were probably good for that professor, I guess. I wonder if he took credit for that when he disclosed.
Oh, absolutely.
But,
Yeah, probably did.
Like, I know I would have. I mean, if I was a professor, I would have been like, oh, yeah, my students. Yeah, I taught them everything. They're mine.
This is going to my PhD.
Ernie,
hey,
if you're
Paul.
watching this, I would like some credit and maybe a job at some point. Other stuff in the news this week. Has anybody read any interesting InfoSec articles or anything that really piqued their interest above the regular noise?
Just a bunch of the same crap we always see.
Yeah.
It's the next week. You could literally write some of these articles weeks in advance. Another Google Day has surfaced. 0 Day has surfaced.
Google
Due
Day.
to roll the attribution
I use
dice.
that.
I'm stealing Google Day. Google Day is now a term. When someone claims it's an O Day, but it's not because they Googled it, it's a Google Day.
That's a good word for it. There's a lot of 1 days out there that a lot of people know about, that when people like the actual companies find out all of a sudden it's a 0 day, but it's like random shit people have known for years. People might have even tried to disclose that were told they were features, not bugs, until somebody maybe chained it together with something else. It happens a lot.
There is one thing it's a potential topic point that I'm wondering if you guys have dealt with. The buyout of VMware to Broadcom.
That was
How has that
handled
affected
extremely
anybody?
poorly.
Because now it's free, but downloading it's kind of a pain in the ass. And I'm still trying to figure out how it's going to work for enterprise environments. Like, it's free for personal use. I haven't seen the business license yet. I wonder if anybody's dealt with that one yet.
On an interesting side note, have you found that Chocolatey and Winget have third-party repositories that can be added to them to pull down certain applications that might otherwise be paywalled?
Added to VMware?
Nougat and Chocolatey? You've played with Chocolatey,
Chocolatey.
right?
Aren't those only Windows?
I mean, they're Windows, yeah, but yeah, Nougat is based on package management protocol, and there's also Debian repositories that you could add that do the same shit. You know, depending on your software of choice, you know, there's different ways that you could easily distribute, say, a VMware binary for Linux to a lot of computers with, I don't know, Salt or,
That's
or
what you're saying.
any freaking regular thing that you can use for that kind of purpose. An Ansible playbook that has the URL embedded in it, where you've once downloaded it, and then use Python, TACM, simple HTTP server to host it somewhere in your environment, shit like that.
There is that Mandiant script that runs Flare OS, I think is what it's called, or Flare VM or something, and it's got a Chocolatey and Nugent script that downloads VMware and stuff like that for you.
Yeah, there's
it's
also
pretty neat.
one.
I use it all the time.
Yep, well said.
So it looks like Broadcom bought VMware, and there was a lot of dispute about the Carbon Black division of VMware.
I have run into that too, because I was supposed to be a Carbon Black partner, and then when they went through that transition, the people I was talking to about getting my partnership license just fell apart. So now I don't even know who the heck to talk to.
Yeah, because what looks like Broadcom considered Carbon Black a non-core asset and wanted to sell it. Then they changed their mind a couple months ago. Now what they want to do is merge it with Symantec.
Why? It just makes
Okay.
it clear.
Yeah, I don't know.
Symantec, really?
We thought that was a good idea. I mean,
they want to
two-sided shit sandwich.
Has anybody ever had to suffer using like Symantec Endpoint Manager? God, that's horrible.
Yeah, they want to combine Symantec's data and network protection capacities with Carbon Black's endpoint and application expertise. And that's.
I think a free version of Avast might do a better job.
Oh God! No, come on now. Carbon Black's pretty dope. I'm not going to be a shill.
I wasn't talking about Carbon Black. I was talking about Symantec. Carbon Black is badass.
If you
combine those, Black is dope.
License, so you can't say anything negative. I'm pretty sure it's in the contract.
If you combine those two elements, Carbon Black will have a much deeper penetration on devices than it currently has.
Giggity.
And since
it
that's
could be the next CrowdStrike.
It could be the next CrowdStrike. Right.
It goes down and takes down half the internet.
Yeah. Because that's all monitoring kernel activity, and it's going to do it at a very large scale. So I wonder if they're positioning against CrowdStrike.
Or just trying to not lose market share, because Symantec has been for years.
Yeah, they've been dying slowly.
I'm not a fan of their products. I've used them both on the job and even in home lab and like even small and medium business environments, and everything else is better. Like anything else is better. Sometimes built-in shit into Windows is better.
Especially in a small environment. Yeah, I would take Windows Defender over Symantec.
Absolutely.
So
McAfee, Jesus.
Alt-key?
Honestly, Windows Defender, and it's not just because I'm younger, but it was kind of fire back in the day because, like, there were other antivirus solutions that I remember growing up and working in small local businesses and then MSPs and dealing with small environments. But most of the time, they would kill the actual function of the system they were on so bad, it'd be almost like if they had a virus. Versus
the antivirus
Defender
virus.
actually defending to some extent.
Defender these days works so good that you don't notice it's running until it works. And it pisses me off so much because I can't get anything done because all of a sudden it triggers and I'm like, okay, I'm turning you off.
Anyone else lose some really nasty code to Defender more than once? Because I know I have.
Oh, yeah.
It's
AMC
infuriating.
specifically. Yeah. Not AMC, sorry. What was it called? I mixed up my freaking technologies here. I was playing around with stuff with generating payloads with social engineering toolkit back in a year or two ago, maybe longer, definitely longer. And Windows kept eating them as I tried to deploy them. So then I was playing around with that tool that Kennedy put out called Unicorn, which has
Unicorn's dope
to it. And those would get past it for a bit. But the more I generated, I was using the Shikata Ganai encoding, and it just started picking up on that one all the time, regardless of how much obfuscation was put in there. And that was annoying. And then it was pretty much hitting GitHub and begging Relic to update Unicorn so that would work again, and waiting for him to do that because I didn't have the skills to fix it yet.
I think he gave a talk on how to fix that.
Yeah, he did.
To like manually go in there and just randomly do something that they're not going to pick up on.
Yep. And those techniques are now in the Obsidian notebook that I've got somewhere, but back then didn't have it. And one of these pieces of Windows just kept freaking getting it. And it wasn't Defender. It was like the, I forget what it's called, but it's one of those underlying things that like it wouldn't even trigger Defender detection. The code would just not run and get deleted. And I'm like, what the hell? It was like anti-malware service module or something like that.
Yep, a quick moment of remembrance for all the beautiful malware that I have written that has gotten nom-nommed by that freaking module without me even knowing until like I looked like an idiot trying to run something that didn't exist.
Even Google tries to delete it when you download it from like Google Drive or something. It's like, come on.
That's why Mega still is gonna have market share.
And that's why I'm moving. That's why I moved everything to Nextcloud too.
So,
somebody from a local college in Nevada was kind enough to clone a copy of the VX Underground drive for me, but did so on a Windows box.
Sweet.
Oh. So, piece of advice: daily driving Linux. Now, this is your, every podcast I'm on reminder that Linux is amazing and awesome, and Tux is here to save us all. This is why you daily drive Linux. Seriously, though.
Can we shit on Ubuntu for a while and
Oh, absolutely. Ubuntu is not Linux. Ubuntu is just
Linux users are like vegetarians. They're gonna let you know.
Yeah, and unless it's Ubuntu, in which case we're all just like, oh. The U in Ubuntu is EWW. It's not a U, it's an EWW. I promise. Ew. Yeah. Anyways, even though I was late to this presentation due to a Linux mix-up, that was my skill and not Linux's fault. I still love it.
Never blame the Linux.
Never blame the Linux. Always blame the Windows, but never blame the Linux.
It's never the penguin.
It's never the penguin.
If they could really get the user interface down and pick a solid X Windows environment for everybody.
That's gonna happen. I'm sorry, you just made me spit coffee out my nose.
I mean, it's kind of a thing.
I mean, have you seen the Wayland versus X11 fight right now?
I was about to just mention that.
Have you seen the Holy War?
It's worse than the Nano versus Emacs versus Vim debates.
I think I probably got insulted less being a Vim user in that debate.
So, Sheldon, we haven't heard much from you. I remember if you had mentioned you work in a couple of different spaces. You work both in the crypto space as well as in security and some other spaces. What's your deal, man?
The phrase crypto space gives me a headache, but I'm not judging you for saying it or using it. Unfortunately, I have to drop in just a moment, but I'm happy to chat about this in the future because it's a good example for TEE falling down and a whole bunch of other, overextensions of things that don't necessarily work the way that they're supposed to. So there's a lot of pragmatism and realism that comes to my responsibility for talking to people about product who are coming from the buzzword and hopium side of things instead of, hey, did you actually read the research paper about this or try to test any of this or try to implement any of this? So I'm really just carrying a lot of slaps on the wrist from one industry to another, as if I didn't have enough conversation with a C-level board about telling them, hey, this is stupid. Now I get to do it with a startup company. So that's basically the way that I see it. I'm very proud that I work for a company that treats me well, that I don't put in that category, that we're moderately pragmatic. Like we'll use the word trustless for marketing purposes, but when someone wants to talk to me about it, I'm like, hey, of course everything is a trust illusion. There's no such thing as truly trustless.
Yeah.
We're a group of people who try to be realistic about these things, but in a nutshell, I did a engagement with Cato Networks in 2012 when my client at the time, Yum, had a franchise in Illinois where someone came in with a rubber ducky and just dropped a payload to run CoinHive. Really simple. It just opens, a little one-core miner, but that's enough to get the computer to not do anything because it's a frickin' Windows desktop being used as a point of sale. And I've been addicted since then because of the research I had to do to convince Yum Corporation to change their business policy and not blame us for their computers mining crypto at a franchise's location. That was enough to red pill me on the actually interesting shit that could be done. And then, a couple years later, hey, everybody can make their own token. Let's start promising shit that can't be done. And the whole industry just went crazy. So most of my value now is trying to be anti-bullshit, but also do it very sugar-coatingly because people have too much money in the shit.
Yeah, that's very true.
I respect that a lot. The last company I worked at was a Web3 startup that wanted to develop software to help law enforcement recover crypto assets in investigations.
Yep.
And the pushback from other Web3 was interesting at best. It was one of those, the technology is beautiful and amazing and brilliant, but what we're using it for as a society is copium at best and scamalicious at its usual. We're killing the environment for what? The needful? It's concerning.
It's frustrating watching a bunch of people, take their sort of models of cypherpunkism in whatever way they see them, and then putting them into what somebody said because they had one of those YouTube videos where someone's like, and there's a big explosion in the back. Like that feels like half the market to me. So I'm just trying to not be that guy. I apologize because I have to drop. I have a meeting booked right now, but I'd be happy to talk about it in more depth another time when I have a little bit more vocal cord to give also.
Live stream your meeting. It'd be funny.
Don't do that, Sheldon. That's a pretty surefire way to have a bad meeting.
That sounds like a great meeting.
And hopping on. We appreciate you and hope you'll come back next week to expound a little further.
It's fun hanging with you guys. Be good.
And don't forget to buy the Iron Geek NFT available on OpenSea. No, there is no Iron Geek NFT on OpenSea. Not yet.
Yet.
And if you enjoyed this podcast, please support Iron Geek on Patreon, some shit like that.
About 3 years ago, I decided to put a spin on crypto projects because I was just tired of the scams. The basis of crypto actually is useful for things like balance of account between trading nations. It's useful in that regard. Outside of that, it's constantly searching for a problem, and I decided to find one problem, and that was training AI models. So it goes like this. Let's say you're training an AI model to recognize a face, but it's going to make mistakes in the first iterations of training. It sees a face 20% of the time, right? Every time the AI fails, it mints a coin. And when it's successful, it doesn't mint a coin. Here's why you would do this. Because the model is a fixed state in time, and the input is a fixed state in time, and the probability of it matching the face that it's trying to match against is a rough approximate of distribution that's going to roughly land in the same space. That's a consensus mechanism. You can put that model and that input anywhere on any machine, provided it has the right hardware, and you will get roughly the same statistical output. So the failing can be consensusly driven. As a result, you're minting coins when the AI fails to train. And as your AI gets better, it stops minting. And here's why you do that. As you're failing, your coin inflates. As your AI gets better, your currency becomes deflationary. So it goes up in value. And so I call it a deep fail. The idea is that you monetize the failure and the training process of the AIs using crypto.
Just don't get fished if you're going to deep fail, dude.
Yeah, right. But it was a novel idea, and nobody really got it. Maybe 3 years later, people will understand it now, but we'll see if it happens or not.
I feel like if you put a talk together, fully explaining it in layman's terms, more people would get it.
Yeah. The general idea is to provide some degree of funding and crowdfunding and crowd hype around interesting AI models that the industry normally wouldn't tackle, like very niche things, like trying, for example, nobody's going to write an LLM that is exclusively trained on assembly to then generate 0 days forever, because that's a fast way to get your ass locked up somewhere. But with a deep fail approach, you might be able to do it. You might be able to get it funded. Yeah, right. But there's the AI stuff. I find that there's a great lag between cybersecurity and the understanding of what AI can do, and that lag is getting wider every day, and there are no experts anywhere in the space who can figure it out.
This sounds like a DEF CON talk to me.
Yeah, right.
No, dead ass.
Like, seriously, though.
Yeah, it's the AI security stuff is very, very difficult to reason about, because our generation, we come from logic and bits and causality, right? There's no causality in a neural network. Most people don't understand that. It is just a matrix. It is just a plane in math. It is a X by Y, or however you want to cut it up. There is no causal attribution in a neural network at all. You have to simulate it. And when you try to debug something where there's no causal trace, you have all been there. Going through a kernel stack dump, or going through anything where causality is just to the wind. It makes it really hard. So it requires a totally unique skill set and a totally different mindset to think about AI security, because it's actually independent of logic and independent of causal analysis in meaningful ways. So people are learning this lesson slowly, but it's going to be painful for sure.
So AI, yeah, it's kind of the new hotness. There's not a whole lot of people that I would consider experts on that. Kind of the same way as cloud security is the new hotness. People are still trying to learn how to pen test IAM stuff and whatever. Everyone's playing catch up.
Yeah, I know a really talented network pen tester who can't do API testing for shit, and has shown me such on multiple tests where that was in scope and completely left, not even looked at, other than like a burp scan output, which was rather disappointing. Now, not that I'm awesome with freaking APIs myself, but I've like played around with this free course I found from API Sec University online, and learned a little bit about it, and I'm less lame now, but highly recommend anybody who's interested in InfoSec look into API testing a little bit.
Post that link.
But the API Sec one?
Yeah, the API one. It is a very sought after skill that not many people, I would confidently say, are 100% in. Usually it's like get Postman, have a Swagger file, tunnel that through Burp, and go from there. And then follow like the OWASP top whatever for API vulnerabilities.
One of the more clever applications I've heard of an LLM is where whenever you're doing red teaming or even blue teaming, you do your best to hide and obfuscate and change attribution and stuff like that. But you really don't know if you're successful or not until the audit comes. When someone's sitting there doing the audit of the logs, you're not involved in that process, and you don't know if your techniques are actually good or not. So it is a bit of a gamble for the red team. It's always going to be a gamble. What you can do with LLMs is, as you do your red team, the AI analyzes the logs in real time and tells you what your signature will be in an audit. That's very powerful stuff, because then you can actually like It's like, it's not just that you're in the system, you're now completely hidden from the audit as well. This is
What does a red team against an LLM look like? Are you trying to social engineer it, or are you running tools after it?
you're trying to make your signature in the system logs look normal.
Never done it. I'd be interested to see.
Yeah, it's one of the more interesting ideas I've heard.
So what does a report look like? Just, hey, we saw this word or this series of words, this string, whatever, get through, or is like actual code level stuff?
So what I've noticed with red team training is that they rarely understand statistics, and they rarely understand all the tools that forensic analysis does to find them out. Once you get a firm understanding of like behavioral signatures that you leave behind, like when you just jump in SSH, you get root. If you run a specific number of commands, that's going to raise red flags, because those particular commands have a high probability of being a vulnerability space or a vulnerability vector. And so what you do instead is you cloak all of your commands in low vulnerability moves that don't trip up the system, that don't tag the behavioral analysis. So you can use LLM to monitor the logs to see if your attack is a high vulnerability or a low vulnerability detection, based on its ability to read things like CrowdStrike, EGM, or whatever the hell it's called. You can take the logs from an analysis service compared to the logs as they are raw in the system logs versus your commands themselves, and you can correlate that, and you can begin to train red teams in behavioral deception.
So you're kind of talking about using LLM for log correlation like a SIM?
Something like that. It's more or less the lines of understanding what your behavioral footprint looks like for each attack.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of just, because right now it's a crapshoot, it's guesswork. You don't
So you're
really
like making a signature based on the network traffic, or like how are you?
Yeah, the signature would be derived from system logs, the impact of your commands when you're inside the machine, the impact of your commands when you're trying to get into the machine. This all leaves signatures for statistical analysis, and that leaves behavioral signatures.
So you would establish a baseline and then see what's going on.
That's right.
And that kind of blurs into the idea of a purple team as well.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to behavioral analysis, both red team and blue team will be using it. I just don't see a lot of red team quite familiar enough with the signatures they're leaving behind in audits.
Right. Yeah, that sounds like where purple team comes in. At least my opinion.
I haven't heard about much in that space, but that's an interesting idea. I mean, there's a lot of use cases for AI and stuff, and a lot of them are really stupid, in my opinion. Just like a lot of use cases for crypto are really stupid. These models right now, some of them are fairly decent. I like Perplexity myself, which runs default on Claude, and like there's some decent coding LLMs out there. Somebody even shared a custom thing that they made that does some really cool coding with me. I think the same guy shared it with you, Leper. But at the end of the day, I think the really cool stuff that is going to come out with AI hasn't come out yet. Like we're still, I think, pretty intro level to what is going to come out in the coming years. And even like refactoring the existing technology in different ways is going to come out with some really cool stuff that will either make our jobs easier or make it harder for us to find jobs. But either way, it will be interesting nonetheless.
One of the more clever interpretations I've heard is that in the past, the people with ideas had to rely on the people who can do and market. And now the people with ideas only need to rely on AI. So if I have an idea for like browser security, I don't need to like run to open source communities and like stomp my foot and try to get a following and start a holy war. I can say, hey, write this Rust compiler that generates an isolated sandbox of WebAssembly, have it grab the web page, render the screen, and then serve that in the browser so there's no way to read my text. I can just do that in a prompt. And it's like, usually that would have taken me months of learning each and every one of those technologies independently, and now I can just rapid prototype super fast, which is just unbelievable. If you're an idea person and you just want to try stuff out, LLM is fantastic.
That's why it was so cool writing that, or having Perplexity write that vulnerable server for us. Because I started thinking, I was like, shit, man, if we wanted to make a CTF, we could just ask this to write us something with an idea of what we want to be vulnerable. It'll spit out an exploit, and then we can figure out how the exploit works, or at least ask it how to exploit it.
Yep, you can totally create isolated test cases, test simulations of vulnerabilities to get people educated on board. Also to do brute testing against that vulnerability in the simulation and use that for analysis. It really is a self-reinforcing curve, which is
in our situation. We couldn't just straight up ask it. We had to say something to the extent of, for educational purposes, we need to do X, Y, Z.
You can always, there's private LLMs on Hugging Face, which are, I mean, Claude is great. Claude is amazing. But the private LLMs are pretty damn good too, and they're very uncensored. Like, you can ask it, how do I commit a war crime? And it will tell you. And
so, you can also ask it how to do it the fastest and cheapest possible way, and it will tell you.
Warcrimesonabudget.com.
I am actually checking Namecheap now. I need a new domain, and I love buying, bad domains.
Yeah, the private LLMs are pretty good too, and you can even set them up to where the LLMs create scenarios for CTFs, and other LLMs try to break them.
Dude, it's $10.
$10. Go. And so you can have the AIs just war game each other until you come out with a comprehensive attack plan.
Have it spin out or spit out an Ansible script to just install it all.
Right. Like, I prided myself in my ability to do Bash. Like, it's one thing I spent a long time just sitting down and understanding how to do Bash, like, correctly. And I would, whenever I had an idea in the past, I'd be like, well, let's just write it in Bash, because why do I need this whole tech stack? It's right here in the CLI. I can just bang it out and see if it works. And the way that ChatGPT and Claude put out Bash, man, you can, like, 90% of ideas can be done in a shell script now.
Yeah.
And then it explains how to do it, and you're like, no, give it to me in a one-liner. I don't want to.
Yeah, give me in a one-liner. Yeah.
I put one-liner in all my Google searches.
So that reminds me of this thing I'd seen a while back, where in 2023, frequency and sophistication of attacks increased along with Swift's evolution and adoption of AI. Defenders are really just starting to grasp on how to leverage AI for defensive purposes to outpace adversaries, but offensive people are using it to actually generate code for things like ransomware attacks now, which is interesting.
Oh,
because
boy.
You used to have to hire a coder if you wanted to write some shitty thing that would encrypt somebody's files. Now you can just kind of feed it one of these LLMs some, what is it called, RAG data, the after training instruction stuff, and then have it, based on what it's got, make some new malware for you. So feed it a bunch of open source code of similar projects that you'd like to build, to define your parameters, and then have these AI agents work together, which is not at all what this article says, mind you. It's just my interpretation of what I read, and this combined with other articles. So it's just interesting evolution of stuff, because like these sim tools are just playing catch up at this point.
That line right there, sim EDR XDR map to MITRE.
They're mapping to MITRE attack.
Yeah, that's where it gets interesting.
And like, even if you ever like trying to figure out an attack and like map it to MITRE, a lot of the time it's going to hit multiple of them at the same time. Sometimes it's going to be one. And trying to like put an attack into a box, I guess for other people to understand it who might not be offensively minded is useful. But for people who are actually exploiting stuff, trying to put this stuff into a box is really difficult for me, at least.
Yeah, you really can't do it. We try for compliance reasons, but you can't really put it in a box.
It looks like 5 different state-sponsored APTs have been caught using Microsoft and OpenAI to write malicious code, at least as of last year when this came out.
Only 5. I expect it to be all of them at this point.
Yeah, that's it. More of them got caught using Sliver last year.
Remember when Raphael Mudge gave up the the cracked copy of Cobalt Strike a lot of people were using?
Yep.
Yeah, that was fun. I think I still have that backdoor copy too. He actually did a whole article about how to crack Cobalt Strike and why you shouldn't, which I thought was hilarious because he does walk you through like how to crack the older version and then explains like if you just downloaded a copy of this cracked, it's very likely going to be backdoored with some Java code that you don't see running that's exfiltrating everything you're doing. So if you're hacking somebody, you're getting hacked.
One of the very interesting uses of LMs that I've done myself is language emulation. It's very, very good at language emulation. So, for example, if I'm dealing with a proprietary piece of hardware and a manual that has a DSL that's like really obscure or badly designed, I give it examples of the DSL straight from the manual and I say, hey, this is what the DSL roughly looks like. Can you give me a command that does it in this DSL that you have no training data for whatsoever? And it will create commands in that DSL as if it was trained on it. It's freaking incredible.
I see people use it for undocumented APIs to enumerate what API calls could be. That's a really interesting use case.
Yeah.
Like creating a word list for.
More like you would fuzz it, and then based on the responses, you feed the responses back to the LLM, and it says, based on this fuzz response, we think it's this.
Huh.
There was a guy who gave a talk at HushCon, I think 3 or 4 years ago. Was obviously not recorded, but the gist of it was he was screwing around with how Grindr lets people look at maps of like people who are nearby, and that there's obviously an API behind that, but it's not documented. And he was able to figure out the undocumented API and map every Grindr user into a CSV file as where they were at that point in time by using the JSON output of commands that he generated with a language model that he otherwise didn't know how to ask these questions to the API. He just essentially had the LLM create these Python request library stuff and curl commands that just dumped all that data for him automatically. And it was toying around with the idea of just putting up a map of all that data, but then realized how bad that would be for people in countries where being gay is illegal.
I guess that's a good pickup line. Hey, bro, I know where you live.
It's there goes the State Department for sure.
People share their data of where they are all the time. If you use like Messenger from Facebook, that thing's constantly updating location data. Windows 11 is constantly dumping telemetry data about you that you certainly would be very hesitant for Microsoft to have if you understood. Yeah. Literally everything you type into the start menu when you're looking for a program or doing a search is being sent to them for whatever their purpose is.
Yeah. And probably an extension of what we're working on, and not just like scanning your outbound traffic for like your personal stuff, security vulnerabilities that are going outbound and stopping it dead in the track. Yeah, that's way better than just like naive whitelists and Bayesian filters.
Yep.
Agreed. Even if you're like a fairly new into networking and like trying to learn how to look through your traffic, if you were to set up like a Netgear, like a Linksys. No, Netgear was right. GS105E or 108E, which is like the cheapest way of getting a monitor device on the network, right at the edge of your network so that you could make a copy of like everything going out across your network traffic, and even just looking at it in Wireshark.
Or Security Onion.
Security Onion's a bunch of different open source shit strung together.
It's just a VM you just spin up and hit go, but yeah, it's basically a hub that everything goes through.
Yeah, so if you don't know how to like use any of the like Windows logging forwarding tools or any of that shit, it really automates a lot of that for you. Guy who puts it out, I think, makes money from selling hardware appliances that have it on that with like support contracts. But he does a really good job now. The older version was a bit glitchier where like you certainly wouldn't want to have that in production on a boat in the middle of the ocean, which I learned the hard way. But it was a really cool product. If you don't have a lot of money and you want to learn how to do sim stuff, you can either do that or could constantly do new trials of Alien Vault every 2 weeks. Either way, you're going to learn a lot about how SIMs work and what kind of traffic's going out. Also, just like if you got old networking gear around the house, learning how to write parsing rules so that like a SIM can ingest that is a really cool exercise to like teach yourself a valuable skill. Like I got some old like Cisco switches and I got a bunch of like random network gear, and they all support various implementations of syslog, some standard and most not. And writing something
it makes
that
you learn regex real quick.
Yeah, I hate regex and avoid using it at all costs whenever possible. Delchai is my regex expert. When I can't figure shit out, I'm like, Delchai, I need help with a regex. And he's like, have you tried the online tool? I'm like, yes. He's like, are you lying? I'm like, yes.
Yes. ChatGPT is really good at regex, by the way.
Yeah, I've noticed that, but it's also given me some really stupid ones as well that if used in production would be very bad.
I like the one. I like the one that CyberChef
anything
has.
you ask ChatGPT to do that might require input sanitization, and you know,
all ChatGPT code is vulnerable to SQL injections just by default.
Not true anymore, dude. I was actually playing with it a few days ago after you told me that, and I had it write me some code, and it intentionally sanitized it first. It's gotten better.
Yeah, it's gotten better. Slowly but surely it has to. But man, even the basics of security, you have to like intentionally, explicitly state these days.
I was playing with it the other day to try and make me an example of an IDOR that I could show somebody. It did a good job with that too. Unfortunately, the back end it was telling me to use was like SQLite in a single file, and that would not be scalable for what I was trying to do, but still cool for what it can come up with just based on your prompts.
For people listening, though,
I used to have on my GitHub shit coder who helps where he can. Because like my coding skills are fairly shit. I freely admit I'm decent at penetration, but not a great coder. And having these LLMs that can help me with some of these mundane tasks that I don't want to do, like when I'm analyzing an external threat surface and I've got like a bunch of XML files and shit, I used to have to use like Namixsoft Scan Report Assistant to parse through that data. But now these LLMs are really good at doing that too. Obviously, I wouldn't do it in a cloud one with actual vuln data, but local models are really good at it too. The ones at Hugging Face he mentioned, StarCoder, a bunch of them. And like, I'm able to very quickly have these Python scripts that automate work that used to take me hours to do. And I have more time to bullshit on a cast with you guys instead of sitting and put together the report for tomorrow for 6 hours as I parse through a bunch of CSV, XML, and other files. It really has made my life a little bit better, but at the same time, might automate me out of a job at some point.
Maybe.
You're still doing it the old-fashioned way with Excel as a database?
So, look, I freely admit there are better tools for manipulation of data out there than Excel. Way better tools. I don't have money for those tools. And I know Excel pretty well, and I can write a formula very quickly in it to do what I want and graph it and make a pretty graph that people want to see for the presentation. So when it comes to like managing the attack surface of like a bunch of companies and then making a presentation based on data that I got from multiple different tools and different formats, just being able to standardize it all into like the same CSV through these Python scripts that this thing has made me, it has really improved my quality of life.
So you would say you excel at it.
I've seen some people, like I got some friends that come hang out every now and then, and one guy does his incident response and analysis work using spreadsheets. And there were times where they'd get so big, even with a beefy laptop, it would take half a day just to load.
Yeah.
I had to step off. There's a cast I got to catch. But if you want to see a strange URL, check out analbiometrics.com. I bought that about, 12 years ago and haven't done much with it. But there is a site on it. You all have a good night.
GrannyGubJobs.com is better.
See ya, Geek.
Oh, God. So I'm the proud owner of dolphinporn.org.
Oh, God. There's a Navy lab in the Virgin Islands for you somewhere.
You remember when they released that new list of TLDRs or TLDs?
Mm-hmm.
I registered your mom.party.
I have your mom.zip, so we were on the same wavelength.
I pride myself in understanding people's accents. I cannot place Iron Geek's accent. Southern?
It's Iron Geek.
It's Iron
His
Geek.
accent is Iron Geek.
Isn't he Australian?
Kentucky with a lisp.
Let's see. Yeah, I couldn't place his location. It's a
I thought
very,
it was
very
Aussie.
Yeah, it was something for sure.
I'm all over
Yeah.
the place.
I love that guy, man. He is one of the best guys in InfoSec, in my opinion. And a lot of people shit on him on like Twitter and stuff. They don't like he's not politically correct enough for him. People claim he hates women or trans people and all that shit, but none of it's true. He's a really good dude.
Yeah. I'm not going to like if I'm going to my person who checks out my groceries, I'm not really going to that person for commentary on like the state of Azerbaijan. Like like you're checking out my groceries. You're IT guy. Tell me your takes on IT, right? If you have takes on other stuff, congratulations. You're a human. What the hell? Jesus. People are so uptight these days.
If you got an IT take, make it spicy.
Yeah, right.
Oh, the spicy meatballs. You gotta
Or
have
these
them all.
domain names, because
We should start a phishing domain name exchange where people who want to do phishing campaigns can rent like from a list of domains we've got and then lease them out temporarily, where we give them like forward the freaking DNS over to Cloudflare or something for them so they can play with it and then take it back when it's
I
done.
swear to God, somebody was telling me about this. I don't remember if it was on the show or if it was at DEF CON, but somebody already has the wheels in motion for this.
Yeah,
I can't have any original ideas.
What you're describing is called handshake DNS. It's like it's a crypto-based timeshare solution for DNS.
I did not know that was really a thing, and that is cool.
That's the thing. Yep.
sounds like we need to call up Nahala and be like, yeah.
What'd you
I
call
got
it?
crypto.
Handshake something?
Yeah, handshake DNS. They have a whole project. Yeah, it's like Filecoin but for DNS.
Oh God, Filecoin. Oh
Yeah,
God.
that was a mess, right?
Why did you bring that up again?
But it's an
I'm
example.
getting war flashbacks to some crap I found posted on Filecoin.
Yeah, it's pretty bad stuff. But yeah, this is kind of like a time-shared auction for DNS ownership. So it's not up to ICANN to expire. It's not up to anything. It's just an open market.
I was also proposing the idea of, hey, you got a pretext that worked really well. Blur out your company name and any PII, but put your pretext up there and maybe get some ideas off of each other.
Yeah.
We could call it the pretext exchange.
Yeah, there you go.
And then some reporter will get in there and dump all of our stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, bullet
No.
thing, make it work.
Pretext exchange.xxx.
One of my friends who had like a bunch of crypto back in the day, who probably still has it somewhere, was telling me his go-to method of hiding his wallet was putting it in his porn folder in a random file that only he knew which one it was amongst thousands of different pieces of porn that he had downloaded, and just like embedding it halfway through in like a freaking what was it called? Encrypted container with like not true. I think it was TrueCrypt at the time, and now it's called something else. Veracrypt. Thank you. And he would essentially make this Veracrypt container, put a password on it, and make the. He also had the ability to like put a file to unlock it that needs to be there as well, and he would use like the file from the porn as well, but from like a different folder. So he needed to specifically know which of his porn, what he put it in to get it, and then also it was in the middle of a file, not like on its own file. It's very convoluted way of hiding your shit.
You could just use a hardware wallet like everybody else.
Yeah. Even
the password is big titty bitches that sell version 5.
No, the password is like the writer of the guy who made the porn pretext, because no one cares about the plot enough to look that up.
I've heard of people, what they'll do with their private key. They'll pick a video, they'll pick one frame, they will take the key, they will AES 256 it, stego it on a single frame in a video and share the video.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty overkill, but it works.
I can imagine there's easier and just as, if not more effective ways, but
I like
can't
to
promise
see that
there
guy
is
10
as
years from
fun.
now when YouTube takes down that video for the copyright strike and he's banking on that being like his backup and it's gone.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Speaking of copyright, that system needs to be reformed for sure. But one of the interesting thing I've seen some people who don't like an organization I help out with their security try to do to us was copyright strike our videos that don't have any copyrighted content in them, with various claims from like Sony and BMG and other like record labels claiming there are songs in there that are not in there and like random shit. But YouTube will still take them down if they get enough complaints and they seem legitimate.
Yep.
So it's like a legit way to just take somebody's shit down right now and make it really hard for them to get it back up. I think
So were those songs AI generated?
These were not actually. There's no songs in these videos. It's just regular like debates between atheists kind of shit.
Okay.
Boring stuff nobody cares about unless you're like an atheist or a like wannabe intellectual. I don't know, pseudo intellectual, but not something your general population is going to give a shit about. Like you're talking like 100 hits to a video, but something was said in there somebody doesn't like. So in order to get it off the internet, they just forge these copyright complaints from like these music video companies. And YouTube is very compliant if it's music to take something down without verifying or even running their tools through it. So it just knocks the video offline, and it's something I had to deal with not long ago. But it's interesting that it's a tactic I wonder if they've automated this tactic because they were doing it with.
Oh, it's absolutely automated.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That's an interesting tactic. And another one that I've found out, I don't know if it's quite a tactic, but a question was posed in the music scene because I work with bands on the East Coast, and some of their media people were saying that AI generated content is causing them to get flagged for copyright infringement. So if that's the case, who gets fined? Them or the guy that wrote the AI?
Right. Yeah.
At the end of the day, it just results in YouTube paying less money to people, which they're in favor of. So
right. That's really what's going on.
Yep.
Let's be honest.
When in doubt, follow the money trail.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen pretty clever people when they go out in public, they'll play like Britney Spears, and if anybody films them, then you could just claim, DACMA strike.
Right.
So it's like, you film me without my permission, but that's not going to be respected, but the copyright strike will be, so you can just get yourself hidden. Useful.
I actually saw someone using that at DEF CON.
Yeah.
There are people who will film themselves with a cop and then do like play Disney music for some reason.
Oh.
Like,
Yeah.
Sorry, Sledge.
I had some shit taken down because, I'm first day in the new house, recording a video. I got music in the background, got taken down because the song playing, somebody claimed copyright on it. And I was like, okay, I guess, whatever. Kind of weird.
Those are automated bots usually that are looking for specific pieces of that content, though. Those are not like real people anymore. They trained that kind of like the way Mechanical Turk did, based on like hiring a bunch of cheap labor in third world countries and college kids to do it while they were being monitored. And then eventually it started doing it on its own through their AI bullshit implementation that often gets things wrong, such as covers and live performances, because it has that variation of error in the algorithm that they use. I read an article on this. I'm not an expert in it, but I just remember it pretty well.
Yeah, there's a series I like. It's called Three Body Problem. If you've never seen it, I recommend it. It's an answer. It's a proposal to the Fermi paradox. It's called the dark forest. It's the idea that If life evolves in a dark forest, if anything makes a sound, then every predator instantly jumps on it. And I have a feeling that with the AIs and the lawfare and all the tactics and the cyber attacks and all the infinite layers of crazy that exist, the internet is basically a dark forest now. If you reveal yourself, you're going to get pounced on by every predator just as policy, whether you did something wrong or not.
It's like
Pretty
spinning up a
much.
Windows 98 machine and putting it on the internet.
Yeah, right.
I would draw parallels from that analogy with Twitter.
Yeah.
As someone who's been a woman on the internet,
Oh yeah, dark forest for y'all, indeed, very much.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm a girl. 10,000 DMs later.
Yeah, growing up without parental controls, because my generation really didn't have them.
Yeah, we do.
As a girl on the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't fun.
I knew the strategy girls would embrace. They would just pretend to be guys.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Get around that stuff.
You'll notice that my handle is really androgynous. There's a reason.
Yeah. There's a reason.
Yeah, like I'll meet people at DEF CON who may have known me online 5 or 10 years before, and they're like, "Wait, aren't you supposed to be a dude?"
Nobody knows you're a dog online.
Exactly.
Speaking of dogs.
Oh my God, Poppy! Oh my God, so cute. Can we get a zoom in on the cute doggo, please?
I'm dealing with mine right now. They're trying to get out.
Let him out!
It's so loud. I gotta go let him out. I will. You know what? This has been a great cast, all, and I'm not ending it because I have to take the dog out for but I am. So
we are way past our goal of time limits.
Dude, our goal should be to not go for 2.5 hours instead of make it just an hour. But regardless, let's see. Let's do an outro video. Let's go with that one.
Exposing the secrets in the shadows, Havoc and Sledge are here to guide you through the digital jungle. Grab your popcorn and put on your tinfoil hats, folks, because it's time for the Counter Surveil podcast. Every Monday night on the Iron Geek channel on YouTube, join the dynamic duo of the digital world, Havoc and Sledge, along with their guests, the top InfoSec players in the industry. These guys aren't just any keyboard warriors, they're the badass hackers of InfoSec, paid to break into systems and help companies secure their shit better. They've got the skills to pay the bills and maybe save you from a cyber meltdown. Tune in to learn how to outsmart the bad guys, the advanced persistent threat actors and digital criminals seeking to steal your data and identity. Learn to protect yourself online, secure your data, and become an InfoSec ninja who can go on the offensive. With tips so hot, they might just fry your circuits. Whether you're a script kiddie, professional pen tester, SOC analyst, or just an InfoSec junkie, we've got your fix. Come hang with the seasoned pros. Havoc and Sledge have got you covered. So, why settle for being a zero when you can be an InfoSec hero? Come hang with the best or be left like the rest. Mark your calendars, set your reminders, and don't miss out. It's the Counter Surveil podcast, where knowledge is power and laughter is your firewall. See you there, cyber warriors, and don't forget, hack the planet.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.
Goodbye.